Hey everybody, today's video we're going to dive deeper into numbers with the driver. How do you maximize your driver distance? What's some of the numbers that you can look at to get more distance besides just swinging faster? If you had to keep your club head speed the same, how could you hit it farther? Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to hop in the simulator bay here in just a second, but before we do that, make sure you click that subscribe button. I appreciate all the feedback that you like what's going on with your swing and learning about how to use the unit better. So we'll definitely have some more of that coming up, and we'll also have more with the Sunday round and more with just the numbers and what you're looking for to be able to generate what you're looking for in a shot. So we'll have more of that coming up. Thanks everybody for the support, and now let's get into the simulator bay. Let's start talking about gaining some more yards. All right, so here we are. We're talking about how do you get more distance on your driver without having to swing harder. So 3 numbers that you should be looking at, and I've got my awesome golf up here. This is my favorite simulator for especially working on numbers. I really like their approach range too, but we're going to look at 3 numbers here: vertical launch, smash factor, attack angle. Okay, so smash factor, for those that don't know, that is a ratio of ball speed and club speed. So it's basically taking how many miles per hour your club speed is into the ball speed. So let's say you had 100-mile-an-hour club speed, your ball speed was 150. That would be a 1.50 smash factor. That is what we would consider to be, for a long time that was considered perfect. I think 1.51 now kind of works, but as perfect. But if you're anything up above like 148, 149, 150 is awesome. So that's a huge number if you want to get the ball to go farther. People will ask me, hey, I hit my smash factor 1.4 to 1.45. I will say, and they're saying, hey, the distance isn't really working. Well, your smash is off. It really does matter how centered you hit it. By being off by 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, that can have a pretty significant influence on how far the ball goes. You could theoretically lose 15 to 20 yards if you're off by only that much. So working on hitting the ball in the center of the face, that is immediately going to get you more yards. So trying to get up to 1.50 is the goal. Again, I see 1.47, 1.48 is really, really good. Now, let's talk about vertical launch and attack angle now, and why, if you work on these two, you will hit the ball farther. So if you saw our attack angle video, I talked a little bit about this, so just want to reiterate this and kind of go a little bit more into detail. So your vertical launch is basically a representation. It's not 100% this. There's some vertical gear effect on the club and stuff, but it's going to give you an idea of how much loft you're putting on the club. So let's say this orange stick is the loft on the club, and then your attack angle is going to be the angle you're approaching the ball with the club. So whatever that is, let's say it's here for right now. This is a little bit down, your loft is a little bit up, and this space in between, we call that spin loft. So the wider this space is in between, the more the ball will spin. So I have a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, I hit the ball, I swing really fast, but my buddies outdrive me. And the reason is, yeah, they swing really fast, but they do not control these 2 elements. So, and they don't hit it in the center of the face. That's also true. But they don't control these 2 elements, and usually they're swinging way down at a driver, or they're adding a ton of loft to the driver. This is really wide, and so you're getting a lot of backspin. And at the speeds we're talking about that the ball is traveling, that thing is going to ramp up and spin, and it's just going to start to really balloon out there, and you're going to be in a very, very short situation as far as how far that ball goes. So that's why I'll see people hit drives and hit these low and rising ballooners, and they're like, oh, look at that, that's so awesome, that's a great drive. And I'm like, that was hit pretty poor. So, you know, that's not what you're going for. So anyway, if you want to hit the ball farther, what you have to do is you have to start closing this gap, okay? So one way is you got to get your attack angle up. I'd say this is usually a problem, okay? I also think a big problem is people have too much loft. So you have to start learning how to bring the loft down, okay? Now you get more of a straight line. They're never really going to be together. I don't think that's realistic. You do want some backspin on the ball, but not a lot. This backspin helps the ball stay in the air, but you want just as little as you can get away with. So we would see something more like this, okay? And if we can bring down our loft and we can bring up our attack angle, you're gonna start hitting more of like a line drive in baseball. That's gonna start traveling a little bit farther, okay? So that's our goal here. Now, we don't have our lofted impact. That number would be represented by dynamic loft. We do have spin loft when you use the flight scope range, but I can just look at what I have here and kind of get a feel for it as well, because it's just the gap between those two numbers, my launch and the attack. So what I'm going to do is hit a shot, and all I'm going to do is, this was a drive I just hit warming up. That one has a 7.8 upward angle of attack. That's all right. I mean, that's pretty high, but hey, if I could pull it off, that's great. But I definitely have too much loft on that one. So that's why it didn't go very far at 107 miles an hour. And you can see my smash was really low. So that was my warm up. Not very good. But let's see what we get if I try to bring down a little loft on the club. I'm going to see if I can keep swinging up at it. Got that launch down, still swung up. Okay. My club speed went down. I was down about 2 miles an hour. My smash was 1.45. Again, not great. I still want to see 1.47. That would explain why I would be down a little bit in yardage. I should be closer to 270, but I didn't hit the center of the face. That's simple as that. So from there, my attack angle was 4 up and my vertical launch was 14. So about a gap of 10. Again, that's a little bit of a crude way to look at spin loft and what's going on, but it works, okay? If you just get the idea that getting those down a little bit closer is going to work. I only had a difference of 10 between my vertical launch and the attack angle, so my spin went down by about 500 RPMs. I still do think the Mevo Plus register is a little high, but the idea is there, and there we go. Voila, we're looking a lot better. Now I could work on hitting the center of the face. I could work on, maybe I try to launch. I could mess around with where I'm launching it, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with that, other than I just missed the center of the face. So that's what you're trying to look at if you want to get more yards, is mastering these numbers and seeing what you can pull off. This is what equates to more distance. And then obviously, if you do all of these really well, more club head speed hits the ball farther. We know that, and we go from there. All right, so that is pretty much the most important way to gain more distance, is that spin loft number and trying to get that number, as small as you can. That's just something that I think people need to experiment a little bit with. And once you start understanding what you're experimenting with, whether it's the loft of the driver or it's the angle of attack that you have up or even down, some people swing down on a driver. It just depends on the speed you have in your swing, what type of conditions you're providing the golf club at impact, and that's what gets you to hit it your ultimate distance. So again, it's kind of a personal preference, but there are some good guidelines that you can go off of that will really help you get better. So with that, appreciate everybody for the feedback. Thank you again. If you're a subscriber, thank you again for subscribing. And if you're not, click that subscribe button down below. We will have more coming up helping you get better. We're closing in on outdoor golf, getting outside. That's going to be really nice if you're in the north. If you're already down south playing, good for you. I remember those days when I could do that, and I'm jealous. I now know what everybody else I was friends with felt like. So I'm bummed, but that's all right. We will have more coming up here on the channel. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.